Hello, everyone. Ian McMillan here with Bet-Sided and Fan-Sided. Joining me today is Kyle Turley, former All-Pro NFL offensive lineman. Kyle, before we get into it, we have a lot of things we got to cover today. We got some football to talk about, obviously, your advocacy of marijuana and cannabis. We're going to get into all that. I do want to ask you a quick music question, though, Kyle, because I know music is a big passion of yours. You have your own band, the Kyle Turley Band. I'm a rural guy myself, so I like country music. I live in New York City now, just recently moved here, originally from rural Nova Scotia. What is it about country music that kind of strikes a different chord in people, Kyle? Because I'm stuck in the city now. As soon as I listen to country music now, I want to go home and drive on the back roads, roll the windows down and pump some country music. What is it? Because I don't get that from other music. What is it about country that kind of strikes that chord?
Now, I know it's just real. I think at the end of the day, everybody can relate to the stories being told in those songs. They're very, they translate across all genres of, people, colors, race. Country music just pulls at your heartstrings, talks about everyday life. It's not talking about money. It's not talking about, it is, but it's it's talking about the struggle, how broke you are, and all these other things. And a lot of music out there is just a lot of just garbage at the end of the day.
That is kind of true nowadays. It seems like a lot of music doesn't kind of hit the same kind of personal real life tones that country does. So I feel that. Do you ever get to jam with any current NFL players, any former NFL players at all?
Man, I used to when we played. Every year I'd get a room from the coaches in the dormitories at training camp. I'd supply the whole thing with musical instruments, and you would find people that played instruments. You'd put a whole band together by the end of training camp. We were rocking. You can see it on Hard Knocks. A little bit of it they exposed when I was with the Chiefs back in 2007 in the HBO Hard Knocks episodes. But music for me is just passion. I've had the opportunity to play with a lot of country music stars, and so it's been a dream come true. Having this opportunity at being a part of another talent that I've been able to expose by just going out and trying it, and doing it. I didn't take any lessons. I didn't do anything. I just had a desire to play music, and it put me on stages across this country for 5-6 years and opening up for every country star under the sun.
Yeah, I used to actually play a little bit of bass guitar myself, but that's one of those instruments you kind of need other people to play with. I ended up kind of giving it up because just playing like a bass line by yourself in your apartment is kind of depressing. Yeah. So,
doom metal.
Switching gears though, because I do want to talk with this because I have a lot of questions about kind of the movement that you've really been an advocate for, and that's the marijuana, the cannabis movement, especially inside professional sports, inside the NFL. I understand that you, alongside Jim McMahon and Evan Britton, have launched a new brand called Revenant MJ. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Revenant launched last year, and we're having tremendous success out here in California. The brand's being received extremely well by the public and the consumers of cannabis out here in California. And now we've gotten licensing deals that we're doing across the state. So, it's a passion of ours. Cannabis saved our lives. Me personally, I can attest to that it truly did. There's nothing else outside of God that, gave this plant to us that, has proven that this has the opportunity to pull so many people out of these situations that they're in with illness and injury, dealing with pain and all these other struggles, cognitive issues, especially from football. These things are all resolved and things that I deal with on a daily basis through cannabis that I had no experience dealing with in pharmaceutical world. There's nothing that I took pharmaceutical wise, and now I've been pharmaceutical free for over 10 plus years, completely not one opiate. And for having all the plates and screws and surgeries and all these things and the arthritis and then this brain injury with dealing with CTE and all the things that come along with that are struggles daily, from real issues of vertigo and like I started having seizures and all, they don't happen anymore. So, it's been a true resolution and revenant in my life. And so we created this brand around that, and it's exactly that. It helps get your life back. And that's what it's done for us.
I love the movement. What do you think it is about opioids that those are kind of what the NFL is pushing, what kind of big corporations are pushing? Why are we so slow to transition to alternative options like marijuana, like cannabis?
Money at the end of the day, I mean, unfortunately, that's what they're concerned about. And at the same time, I just think that there's a whole, conspiracy theorist population control thing going on. And when you get down to the science of it, it's truly mind-boggling as to why they are not allowing. You can forget this plant if you want. You can just take this plant, put it on a shelf, forget about it. They don't want to talk about this plant. That's fine. But one thing that they are keeping from people that needs to be exposed through the medical community, that's not, is the endogenous cannabinoid system. That's the one thing that I think has driven this conversation as to why are they doing this? Why have they been doing this to us? It's because they don't want us to know about the number one regulatory system in the human body. They want us to believe there's a Vicodin system and an aspirin system and, all these things that they got these drugs for, right? That this is going to fix your problem. Instead of relying on what God put inside of each and every one of us in our brains, this nucleus of our health called the endogenous cannabinoid system, and it's not taught in medical school. So it goes a lot deeper.
Interesting. A little bit more on that in a second, but I understand that also with Revenant, you guys are planning on opening up a recovery center in 2023. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got to give back, with this opportunity that we've had to have success in this industry. We want to use that to continue to give back to our community and have more guys have this resolution in cannabis and get off of these horrible opiates that are killing everybody. And the only way to do that is something that I've tried to do with the NFL for the last 10, 12, almost 15 plus years now of trying to get them to create a facility that is strictly for NFL players based around recovery. And a couple of people have tried it. I've been involved in some efforts, but they don't want to give cannabis its full opportunity. And until they do that, you're not going to have the resolutions that you can have. And unfortunately, we've got to do it ourselves. The NFL, with the billions of dollars that they have, came into Vanderbilt University, a meeting that I organized with the heads of Vanderbilt Hospital, University, and everybody. Flew Mike Dick in, the whole deal. And we were going to create the Legends Life Center. And they completely crushed it. They took over. Vanderbilt now works exclusively with the NFL. So we got to build the Revenant house. Yeah.
That seems insane to me. And that was actually something I wanted to touch on as well, because you have mentioned that you've met with NFL executives and they've admitted to you that marijuana, that cannabis is a possible or is the resolution to a lot of the issues that the NFL players are experiencing. But then they just all of a sudden just cut you off and just clearly haven't made the changes or aren't even trying to make the changes. Why is that? Is it just a money thing? Are they afraid of any potential social backlash from it, where people just still have a negative stigma about marijuana? Why are they just completely turning a blind eye to something that they know is the correct answer to this issue?
It makes no sense, right? It doesn't. At the end of the day, there's no answer for that other than a deviant decision that has been made to, again, you can just throw this plant out the window, throw it out. They've made a conscious decision to not expose the opportunity that we have as NFL players to protect our brains in the endogenous cannabinoid system's ability to do so. They won't even go that far. They just continue to want to put this on marijuana and this plant. And at the end of the day, it's much bigger than that in this conversation as to why. They've now just given $1 million to UCSD, I guess. They finally put a submission out there, said they'd fund a study for $1 million, and they picked a winner, and luckily it's my friends, some people I know down in San Diego, but still it's going to be a very restricted program, and they're going to use vape pens and stupid stuff that they want to continue to just kick the can down the road. They know they're going to get, results, and the results are going to be positive, but they don't want it to be the results that I exposed to them, that all these other guys have exposed to them, where it's cured neuropathy. I don't have vertigo anymore. I don't have any more seizures. Arthritic pain and all these things. If I could go back and take what I think that's the biggest thing that scares them is going back and saying to them that if I could take this back with me, I might have played 20 years in the NFL. They don't want that. They want that average career length to still be 3.5 years, which is why they continue to negotiate collective bargaining agreements that put the average career length or to the vested career length at 4 years versus the average career length of 3.5 years. So, it's all in the numbers. They make a lot of money off pharmaceuticals. Hopefully here with Denver being up again, last time Denver had its naming rights come into play here in Colorado with the Broncos Stadium, there were 2 cannabis companies that the NFL did not take their money, and they went with a lesser applicant that didn't give them as much money to name the stadium. Now the team's for sale, so we'll see what they allow there in Colorado as far as the team sale goes, because there's a lot of cannabis companies that have made enough money now to go ahead and buy a team, so and or name a stadium and all these other things. So hopefully that's what pushes it over, is ultimately the money. We're dedicated to that with Revenant. We're trying to make as much of it as we can so that we can go and build the Revenant house, keep building this community and this message. And then hopefully one day, Jim McMahon, myself, and Evan Britton, we can buy an NFL team, because they won't change anything, it seems, to help our community. They won't acknowledge CTE, to its extent that it needs to be. And these issues can be resolved. It makes no sense.
Now, just speaking from personal experience myself, as I mentioned, I'm Canadian. I just moved down here last fall to New York City. It became federally illegal in Canada back in 2018, I believe it was. And I saw a stigma change almost immediately, where people who used to think marijuana was an evil drug and the worst thing in the world, all of a sudden were going to these stores and trying out these products to help them with a ton of different issues. So I hope that it does become illegal in more states and federally in the United States. And I think that's going to go a long ways in kind of changing the stigma. Now, I do want to talk about the Super Bowl, about a couple quick betting topics. Really quick, the last question on marijuana. I know that the NFL is not going forward and kind of implementing kind of these kinds of, they're not recommending people to use it, but have you seen NFL players by themselves going out and seeking these kind of treatments? And have you seen that and the number or the percentage of NFL players using marijuana increase at all to kind of help with their any mental and physical issues that they've had over the past number of years?
Oh, 100%. The statistics are bad on a lot of levels, but they're good on a lot of levels. And you're having players that are transitioning now to using CBD more, using cannabis, and being able to do that. Unfortunately, the NFL, they took approach of saying, we're not going to suspend players anymore, but we're still going to test for it. And so it's really put players in a kind of a different position as to still, they have to kind of keep it quiet. That's unfortunate. The more that we open this conversation up and the opportunity that they have to, let these players know that this is a free, thing, that's when they could get the results that they're looking for. They don't need to invest $1 million in the UCSD or whatever the heck it is for some, half-ass study. They need to give this its full opportunity within the locker rooms. I propose them study after study every year for the last 5 years. Give me a locker room and I just CBD alone, no THC, nothing. I've started a CBD company that was THC free for this purpose. I gave them a full PowerPoint presentation at the top of the Marriott Hotel in Los Angeles, looking over Los Angeles, the whole city, the entire medical board of the NFL sitting there, to where then they said, okay, we're finally going to stop testing or suspending players, but they still want to know why you're using it. And unfortunately, that's unless they're going to give the full opportunity for this, you're not going to have guys why they're using it, because that answer is not going to be good enough for them. Like, I just want to sleep at the end of the day. I just want to eat at the end of the day. Oh, well, why can't you just do that? Well, anyways, it's a real unfortunate situation that the medical community of the world has put on our communities, period, from Canada to America to everywhere else that, went on this campaign against cannabis. And more so, they went on the campaign to deny people the opportunity to know about their human health. The endogenous cannabinoid system is the number one regulatory system in the human body. What more do you need to say? Again, it's going to be an unfortunate situation where players are going to have to, who knows, in the unions, strike or whatever it might be, or finally, somebody in the upper echelons of these quarterback clubs, like maybe hopefully a Joe Burrow, he's smoking in the locker room already, that demands the opportunity to say, you know what, man, I need to stop smoking this tobacco. I need to smoke this cannabis here after the game because I just got a bunch of concussions and this is actually a neural protectant. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to check out Revenant, check out the information on this, because you shouldn't just kind of take what you hear. You should look into this and look at the benefits of marijuana and of cannabis, especially for these football players. Right before I do let you go, we are a sports betting news website, so I do have two really quick betting questions for you, Kyle, and then I'll let you know, and then I'll let you go here. The Super Bowl obviously coming up this Sunday. I'm not going to ask you who's going to win, but I want to know who's going to cover the spread. I don't know if you're a sports betting guy or not, but the spread is at 4 points. Do the Rams win by more than 4 points, or are the Bengals going to keep it at least close and maybe upset the Rams?
God, the Bengals have just been hanging on and making every one of these games close. Joe Burrow has all the talent in the world to keep this a close game, even under pressure, which the Rams are going to be bringing. It's a home stadium environment for them. They're sleeping in their own beds. So it's going to be an interesting Super Bowl, to say the least. You've got two lethal quarterbacks under center. So I anticipate, a good scoring game. But, I don't know. I kind of think the Rams got a shot this year at maybe hopefully a third quarter breakaway, if not, halftime. But look at what Joe Burrow's done after halftime.
Right.
You can't rely on it.
I'm on the Rams to cover the spread, so I'm kind of rooting for them, but it's hard to go against Joe Burrow. Really quick, Kyle, I know you played for a few different NFL teams, Saints, Rams, Chiefs. Do you still feel like a New Orleans Saints? I know that's where you started your career. Do you still cheer for the Saints? Are they still your team at this point?
I don't know, man. The Saints, I don't know. It's who dat?
All right, then. So then I do have one final question. We'll end on this. Obviously, with Tom Brady leaving the NFC South, the division's kind of wide open. If you would theoretically bet on a team to win the NFC South next year, who would it be? But before you answer that question, I just want to let you know, Kyle, there is an objectively correct answer for you to have here. So please tell me who's going to win the NFC South next year.
You came all the way from Canada to put that hat on. You're Canadian. You need to have the fleur-de-lis on, bro. You can't wear that dirty bird hat, bro. I don't know why you're doing that, but the Falcons are not for sure. Unfortunately,
we'll see.
The city of Atlanta had their chance, and Matt Ryan, who knows though, he's still got it in him. And, the Dirty Birds are always a competitor, but my Saints, if they can figure out that quarterback position, I don't know what they're doing with the coaching situation. I think they've set themselves up here for a mediocre season with that, not hiring a guy that, could come in and give some energy, a player that might look a little different than the rest of the league's coaching hirings. And they just gave it to an assistant coach. So I'm hoping the Saints pull it out once again. I'm a hoot at, but them Falcons, them Dirty Birds, they could make it. They've done it in the past.
It's a real shame when the Falcons won the NFC a few years ago that the Super Bowl was canceled that year, because in my mind, the Super Bowl just never happened there. So I appreciate you joining me, Kyle. Best of luck to your Saints. Best of luck with your endeavors here, and keep spreading the good word, my friend.
I will, for sure. Go Rams. We're going to win it. I'm sure of that. Joe Burrow ain't going to win it, but they might keep it in that point spread. We'll see.
I love it, man. Enjoy the game.
All right, brother. Take care. Thank you.